Recording in progress. Okay, so here's what we're going to talk about today. Can we all agree that in most of our markets, things have changed a little bit? Yes? Okay. Some more than others. Some people are seeing, I had just mentioned in my area, the higher priced homes are, you could really tell are, whoa, that kind of, they are sitting a little bit. Some areas might not be sitting as long and things along those lines, but everyone across the board can kind of see a little bit of a change in the marketplace. One of the ways you can always tell a change in the marketplace is if you see the news in terms of our business, are layoffs. And you've seen Compass announce a ton of layoffs for their company. So Redfin announced a ton of layoffs for their company. Mortgage companies are laying people off like crazy, underwriters and things along those lines, anyone that's on a salary, because that's just, hey, look, we're looking at less transactions. We're looking at a little bit of a changing market, so on and so forth. Now, part of that is cutting costs because there's just less transactions and less profit. Makes sense. Part of it is there are companies that just don't know how to help their agents. And so what they do is, we don't know how to help our agents get out of this position. So therefore, we're going to lay people off because we don't know what else to do. You're probably also seeing, real estate companies that struggling, laying off into, like, on the local level, staff, some companies closing offices, things like that. Neil gets calls all the time, about potential offers and things like that, which is always funny. They say, have you thought about buying our office? And his response is, if your office was profitable, you wouldn't need me to buy it. So, sometimes this doesn't make a whole lot of business sense. You want me to buy a declining asset. So, you have to look at things from that way. Here's the other way that you might not know this, but I can get it in terms of how I know a market is changing, is because we get pitched 1,000 different products on how we can save your office. God, some of the meetings I've had recently, and none of them are free. Bastards. What are you going to do? So anyways, the market, and for the most part, has changed a little bit. So I wrote down a couple things here. This means something very important. When the market changes a little bit, something very important happens, okay? What happens is the middle class of real estate agent shrinks, okay? This is very important for you to understand. The middle class of agent shrinks. So typically you have your mega producers, and then you kind of have your mid-level producers, and then mid-level might be someone doing 5 to 10 transactions, okay, something like that. And then you have the people doing 0, 1, 2, things along those lines. The 5 to 10 unit producers, which create the bulk of the real estate business, will shrink. And that group will either go towards the 0 to 1 producers, or they'll go to the 15, 20 producers. Okay, they'll start edging their way into one of those categories. That's just what happens every time there's a little bit of a change in the marketplace. If you don't make the proper adjustments, you might not realize that you're going down, and it might be too late to save it for this year. And then you're playing catch up. Now you're going to be playing catch up to get to the middle again, and then trying to play catch up even more to get to the higher end. So you're really going to be paddling a lot. So it's vitally important that you understand that you have to make a decision to not do what a 5 to 10 unit producer does. You have to do what a 20, 25, 50, 100, 150, 200 unit producer does. Okay. Otherwise, if you don't do that, you'll go down to 0. For those of you that are at the retreat, a couple weeks ago, Mike had mentioned that, it's the 50% mindset, 50% skills, 50% activities. Someone says, well, it's 150%. And he said, one of my big notes was, well, if you want to do more business in this marketplace, it's going to take 150%. Okay, so it's just a shift in the mindset, number one, when it comes to a changing market. So you have to really get that down before you go anywhere else. Okay, questions so far on any of that stuff? Okay, very good. If you have questions throughout any of this, unmute yourself, put it in the chat box, whatever the case may be. So what I wrote down here is a list of things when the market changes, what separates the people who go from top producer instead of going down to low producer, or I'm already a top producer, how do I get even higher? Because let me tell you something, there is never a time better to gain market share than when the market changes. So if you're already in that supreme level, well, guess what? You have a chance to go really high. Okay. But if you don't pay attention, you will go down relatively quickly. Let me give you an example is, when COVID hit, the people that were sick, that's a different thing. Or the people that didn't want to do anything because they were scared of getting sick, that's a different thing. But I know agents that didn't care about COVID, but they just didn't adjust, and they went from $300,000, $400,000 producers to zero within months, scrambling around. I know one agent in particular that actually left real estate. 2019 made $350,000 in real estate, and by the end of 2020 was looking for a job. True story. Because if you don't accept the fact that when things change, the middle class shrinks, you're going to go out of money really quickly. So let's dive into this. There's a list of ideas on what separates the greats, what separates somebody when a market changes to get them to extra higher level instead of getting down to zero level. They're not written in any particular order of importance. It's just how they're written. First thing I wrote down here is
Robert.
Yes.
Sorry, sir. Am I going to be able to, to see this recording or no?
Yes, this is being recorded. Where it goes, nobody knows. But it's being recorded. Poor just Jesse, on a total side note, Jesse's been getting these videos uploaded to our training page, events.c21masters.com. And he goes, yeah, during the retreat, I got like 25 videos uploaded. I said, great, where are you at? And he goes, I'm in October. So last year, he goes, Robert, do you have any idea how many videos you make? Okay, that's a good point. So, but yes, he's getting there. All right, the first thing I wrote down here is, for the people, the best of the best during a changing market is they don't complain or make excuses. They don't complain or make excuses. So let me ask you a question. Is the number of transactions in your marketplace down this year compared to last year? Yes or no? Number of closed transactions. Most of you should be saying yes.
Yes.
Okay. The fact that some of you don't know that answer is a little concerning. Okay. But are there transactions being done? Yes or no?
Yes.
Every day. Every day. If you don't believe me, go into the MLS and look to see, were there any transactions? Were there any new pendings? Were there any new closings? Were there any new listings in the last 7 to 10 days? Guarantee you will find something. It is harder. And it is more challenging, and you have to make more contacts, and you have to overcome more objections. Absolutely. But you know what? You're getting paid a lot of money to do those things. Isn't that swell? Right? Yeah, Robert, it's harder. Okay, great. So put in a little extra work, and what's this worth to you? 15, 20 grand? Yeah, okay. So I do a couple extra follow-ups. I ask a couple additional questions. I role play a little bit more. You have a chance to make a lot of money. Don't worry about the things that aren't available. Worry about the things that are available. Do you know that in the MLS in June, over $1 billion in commission was handed out to real estate agents? $1 billion with a B in June, just in our MLS. So some of you are, I know, Tweez in San Jose, Yukiko's in San Diego, doesn't include your markets. Your markets might even be even different. $1 billion was handed out in commission income to our agents in the MLS. So don't focus on what's not available. Focus on what is available. How much money do you really need? How many deals do you need? And go out and find them. I see tweet posts in the chat box, 249 closed deals in the last 7 days in San Jose, California market. How many do you need? If you had one of those, that's one a week. That's 4 a month. That's 50 a year. It's pretty good. Especially at the price points up there, you know, or in California in general. So don't make excuses. Don't complain. Yes, it's harder. Well, Robert, but you know, where are they going to go? They sell this house, they buy a replacement property. They can't find a replacement property. Well, let me tell you something. Who here was in the market in 2016? 2016, who was a real estate agent? Did you ever have that objection of, if I sell this house, I don't want to be homeless?
Yep.
Okay. So in 2016, that objection was still around. Okay.
100%.
2022, it's around. Yes, Melinda, what were you going to say?
Well, I was just saying it was still around even in 2007.
2007, it was around. So yeah, it's challenging, but it's not like there's new things coming up. Don't worry about the stuff that's out there that's frustrating. Just focus on what you can do and go out there and make a deal happen. Here's a great change of the mindset. Yes, there's less transactions, but there's far less agents working. So it allows me to have a better chance to find some deals. All right, I wrote down here second, okay? The best of the best in a changing market, create a schedule based around production. And then part B is they follow that schedule almost every day. Not every day. Nobody's perfect. Schedule based around production. What percentage of your day should be production-based activities? I see some of you mouthing it.
80%.
80% of your day should be around production-based activities. So I don't want anybody to answer this, but the question you have to ask yourself is, am I spending 80% of my day based on production-based activities? Some of you might be, some of you might not be. The goal is to get closer to that until you are. So let me give you an example. Production-based activity, lead generating is a production-based activity. Lead follow-up is a production-based activity. Going on appointments, negotiating contracts, practicing your scripts. These are production-based activities. 80% of your day should be around those activities. Or as Mike would say, 80% of the day is income generating and 20% of your day is income servicing. So admin work, things along those lines. The reality is it's not that hard to make 75, 80% of your day production based. If you do one thing well, it starts with a D. Does anyone want to take a guess? Nobody wants to take a guess? You have to do one thing really well in order to do an 80% production-based schedule, and it starts with a D.
Delegate.
Delegate. Hey, that's it. Delegate. And then part B of delegating is get the hell out of the way. Okay. Delegating and then micromanaging is not delegating. Delegating is I'm entrusting you to do this part of the process so I can go generate. And if the person that you're entrusting to do that part of the process, you have no faith in them doing it correctly, find somebody new. Well, Robert, I just, the title rep, I'm always a little wary about what they're going to say to a client. Get a new title rep. There's like a million of them. My escrow officer, I don't know. I don't have faith that they're going to follow up correctly. Get a new escrow officer, get a new TC, get a new lender. But make 80% of your day based on production-based activities. Right now, if there's less transactions in your marketplace, is it fair to say that you then have to talk to more people? Yes or no?
Yes.
Do people right now make decisions faster or slower in terms of closing a real estate transaction? Slower. So I have to talk to more people, and people are making slower decisions. It is vitally important that 80% of my day is based around that type of activities because I don't have time to waste. So 80% of my day has to be around that. But I wrote down here under this point, when it comes to lead follow-up, pick whatever word you want, aggressive, fanatical, whatever word you want, and put that in front of lead follow-up in all caps. I have to get these leads moving faster, either moving out or moving forward faster. So part of my production based is aggressive lead follow-up and saying, how can I get these people moving forward? Being direct does not mean you have to be mean. So let me give you an example on aggressive lead follow-up. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what do you need to hear or see from me to help you decide if it's better for you to list now or later? That's a direct question. Let's go. Or I could say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what do you need to hear from me? Let's figure this out. It's same thing, but the tonality was different. But I got to ask instead of a follow-up. No. Aggressive lead follow-up, fanatical lead follow-up, whatever word you want to put in front of it. Okay. We need to get people moving forward faster. All right. I wrote down here next. You have to, as part of getting people to move forward faster, the best of the best always follow the scripts. If you don't have a script, find one. If you need one, ask me. I probably have one, or because I can dance around with a bunch of different scripts, I can put one together. I just did this the other day with investor buyers. Okay, investor buyers. So now I give a little bit of credit to Carrie on Melinda's team. We kind of brainstormed some ideas, but it's like, well, let's talk about investor buyers. Why would somebody want to buy today from an investment property? Well, would you agree that in the last 2 years, buyers were making emotional decisions? Okay, it was emotional buying, right? I'll bid $50,000, $100,000 above the list price and waive all contingencies. That is not logical. That is emotional. Doesn't mean it's a bad idea. It means it's emotional. Do investors make logical decisions or emotional decisions?
Logical.
Logical. Okay.
Logical.
So if I'm an investor, how am I going to compete against an emotional buyer? I can't. Well, now let's fast forward to today. Are the offers being written on properties more emotional or logical?
Logical.
Logical. So guess what, Mr. and Mr. Investor, I have some great news. In the last 2 years, you were kind of priced out of the market as a buyer because it was an emotional buying market. Now we've shifted to a more logical buying market, which means you can make an offer where the numbers actually make sense to you as an investor and still might be able to get your offer accepted.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, when would you like to go see property, today or tomorrow at 4? See, I'm following a script, because if I don't do that, then the conversation goes, well, yeah, the market's this and market's that. And you get into this long-winded conversation. The best of the best in this market speed up the process. And to speed up the process, I need to follow the scripts. Okay. So I wrote down here, if you're fighting the scripts, why do you do that? Okay. Why do you fight the dialogues? Or if you're Robert, I'm on the scripts, great. Which scripts, 1 or 2 scripts in your business do you need to work on the most that will make your business in the next few months even better? Don't pick a scripts that, well, I don't call expired. Okay, great. Then don't work on the expired script. I don't call for sale by owners. Great. Well, then don't work on that. What is something you do call? I call investors. Great. Get that investor script on point. Get that just listed, just sold script on point. Okay. We have to speed up the process. The scripts will speed up the process. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes.
Will I share the investor script? Sure. All you have to do is Venmo me. And it's all yours. Yeah, I'll do that. Would anyone else like that investor script I just said, or should I just send it to Vivian?
You can send it.
I'll take one too.
All right, Robert, put it in.
All right.
Let's do it.
It's in the
Yeah.
chat. It's in the chat box. It's in the chat box. Aren't I nice? All right, there you go. Okay, so the next thing I wrote down here, in a changing market, what are the best of the best do? Okay, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but they're willing to confront people when necessary. They're willing to confront people when necessary. Let me ask you a question. Are there still some sellers that expect the home to be sold in 4 days?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Are there still some sellers that are expecting 25 offers on properties?
Yes.
Yes. In most of our markets, some markets might be different, some price points might be different, but in most of our markets, is selling a home in 4 days with 25 offers realistic?
No.
In most of our markets, probably not. But some sellers still think that. They still think that, yes, that's what I'm expecting. So if you're not willing to confront them on what the reality of the market is and what they can realistically expect, then you don't have a chance. Or what you'll do is you'll settle, take the listing, get beat up for 30, 45 days, both by not having any offers and getting beaten up by the seller. Did anyone get into real estate to get beat up by clients? Okay, just checking. No, Robert, I did not get into real estate to get beat up by clients. Got into real estate to get beat up by you. Damn it. I'm just kidding. No one said this can't be fun. Right? So you have to be able to confront them and show them like, look, this is not realistic. Okay. Now, even though the market has changed, can a buyer offer 10% below market value and get their offer accepted? Realistically. In most markets, 10% below? Probably not. Okay. Now they could maybe offer more comfortable, but they can't offer 10% below. So if a buyer comes to you and says, well, this home is $1 million, I want to offer 850. I have to be able, because I read online, and online doesn't lie. I read online that the market's crashing and I can get a deal. Jack, if a client says they're looking for a deal, what is the correct response?
What's a deal to you?
What's a deal to you? That's the response. But I have to be able to confront them on, I don't know if you can write an offer $150,000 below $1 million. Okay. Yes, market's changing a little bit, but I have to be able to confront people, buyers and sellers, on the reality of the market, because everyone is seeing things differently. So if I don't confront, I spend time, effort, and energy, which, as we talked about earlier, I don't have time to do that. I have to get things moving faster. Confrontation allows me to move things faster. Now, as Mike Fair would say, confrontation is not getting loud and mad. It's simply asking a question. Okay. Simply asking a question. Okay. And as Mike said at the retreat, buyers and sellers get mad when things don't go their way. And that is because we're afraid to confront them and show them the facts. Okay. This is what's really going on in your marketplace. Now, part of that is that you have to know the stats and you have to know how to find them and how to be able to articulate them. Okay. But it's very important. If you're not asking this question, there's 2 questions I want everyone to write down. Okay. I've shared these before. These are great confrontation type questions, but are not mean, but will get you answers quickly. Question number 1, you should ask every single one of your leads this question. What do you need to hear or see from me? What do you need to hear or see from me to help you decide if it's better for you to list now or later? What do you need to hear or see from me to help you decide if it's better for you to list now or later, or buy now or later? Okay, whatever they're trying to do. But that is a confrontation type question, because I'm being direct of saying, what do you need to hear or see so I can show it to you one way or the other and we can move forward? That's what that question is essentially saying, instead of me just, well, the market's this, the market's that. Well, what if they don't care about what I'm telling them? What if it's something specific? But I'm also saying maybe it's later. Maybe now's not the time for you. Why am I adding the or later part? Why am I adding the or later part? What does that look like for me to the seller or the client? As opposed to saying, if I just said, what do you need to hear or see from me to help you decide if now's the time you should list, compared to list now or later? What's the difference in the eyes of a client?
Well, they may not be ready now, and they know that later things will change.
Later things can change, and I'm not attached to them selling their house right now.
Right. So they.
I'm looking out for their best interest. I don't have that commission breath of, gosh, it's a hot market. What do I need to show you to list your house right now? Sounds like a salesperson and I'm trying to get money. If I say list now or later, the later part's an option, which means they're not as concerned about my commission. The second question that you should ask everybody in your database or anyone you talk to in your prospecting is, I'm sure you've heard, read, or seen something about the real estate market recently. I'm sure you've heard, read, or seen something about the real estate market recently. What questions do you have that I can answer? Has everybody seen, heard, or read something about the real estate market recently? Yes or no?
Yes.
Don't let them convince you they haven't. But does everyone just go at you and give you all of their questions? No. Pull it out of them. You want to find a deal? You want to find a deal? Call everybody in your database and ask them that question. I guarantee there's somebody in your database that's going to say, well, you know, I was thinking about X, but I read this. Guarantee you there's somebody in your database, you call and ask that question. There's a deal, guaranteed. Because I'm just being upfront. I'm saying, let's go. You heard, read, or seen something. Come on, send it to me. What do you got? I'm here. I'm in front of you. Don't be afraid to ask the tough questions. All right. I wrote down here next, what do the best of the best do in a changing market? Okay. They understand the value of communication and the value of responding in an appropriate time. Understand the value of communication and understand the value to responding in an appropriate time. All right. We talked earlier about, Tess was talking about how just listen, just sold calls seem to be more willing to talk and more open. It's because there's a lot of agents that are not communicating with their database. And there's all this information out there and they're not communicating with their database. If you're not communicating with your database, you are leaving them to come up with their own solutions, which means they go online. Now, is it beneficial to you if your database and your clientele are finding all their real estate answers online?
No.
No, it is not. No, it is not.
Well, today, Rob, when I had someone say, oh no, the real estate is really nasty from what I heard. And all I asked was, okay, what is nasty to you?
Yeah, there it is.
And
Yeah.
he didn't know what to say. He was just,
There it is. They don't know. Yeah, you don't know what to say, but let's have a conversation about it. But I need to open up the dialogue. Great job. But they probably read a headline. They read a headline somewhere. And if you want to find something that validate your answer, can you find it? Can you find something, whatever you believe, can you find something to validate it? 100%.
Yeah.
I could tell you, they could say the market's going to crash. And I could say, well, let's look at the stats. They could go to Google. Is the real estate market going to crash? And they'll find something, even if it's from Bob Johnson in the basement of a room in Louisville, Kentucky.
That's right.
Okay. Who wrote down that the real estate market's going to crash. There it is.
That's it.
There it is. Now, and I'm sitting there going, but I got all these objections. I got the stats. I got this. Come on. No, no, Robert. Bob said this. Shit, Bob. But if you're not communicating with your people, that's what they're doing. They're going online and that's where they're finding their information. The value of communication is so important in a changing market because maybe they're right. Maybe in their market, it is going to crash. Maybe there is a big price drop. I don't know. Every market's different. It doesn't seem to be big price drops yet in most markets, but everyone's different. But if you don't give them the real raw data, then you're leaving them to come up with their own conclusions, which means they're going online and you're toast when that happens. Also, when they search online, what else do they find? What else do they find online? They find real estate agents.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're Googling real estate articles, what are the ads that pop up on real estate articles? Real estate agents or Zillow. And then they go to Zillow. And what does Zillow do? They promote their agents. So by not communicating with your clients, you are leaving them to come up with their own conclusions about the market and leaving them to go contact other real estate agents when they have questions. You're killing yourselves. The communication is so important when the market changes because they have questions. Even if they're not looking to buy or sell, they have questions. Okay. And then responding in a timely fashion. Responding in a timely fashion does not mean you have to respond immediately, but you have to respond soon. Okay. Who was it? Gosh, somebody last week took a listing. And that was the thing, was they reached out to an agent and the agent didn't get back to them for 2 or 3 days. And so they called another agent and that's how they got the listing. I forget who it was, but that's a true story. You have to be able to respond in a timely fashion because when people want information, are they typically patient? No. See, if I'm not motivated, I'll be patient. You know, I told this when I was telling the story. I was looking at we were just kind of, browsing some jumbo houses. The lender I use, I reached out to him. I said, it's not important. Just whenever you find some time, and so if he doesn't get back to me for 3 or 4 days, not a big deal, but if I wanted to buy that, if I wanted to buy that house, when I went to go see it, hey man, when can you get this to me? I can get it to you tomorrow morning. Great. Okay. I have to be able to respond faster. I'm not patient when I need something. So therefore I can't act as a salesperson in a patient manner. Well, Robert, I'm a little more low key. Get up key. Okay. Robert, I'm a slower decision maker. Become a faster one. Okay. Or sell your database, whichever you prefer. Okay. I'm not low key. I gotta be up key. I'm a slow decision maker. I gotta be a fast decision maker. I gotta move. Okay. Because people are less patient when things are changing because fear creates chaos. And when people don't know, when they're not in the know and they don't know what's going on, that creates fear. And so their panic, their anxiety goes up. And we don't respond for 2 or 3 days, now their anxiety goes up even more. So in a changing market, the correspondence has to be super important on how quickly you're getting back to people. Again, you don't have to drop everything. No one's expecting to get back right away, but you have to get back soon. Respond soon. Okay? Couple more points here. And I know we're going to go just a little bit past 1. I apologize, my fault. Okay, but a couple more points. I wrote down here next in terms of the best of the best in a changing market. Energy and enthusiasm is more important than ever. Energy and enthusiasm is more important than ever. Because again, as we talk about fear, when your clients have fear or confusion, they're looking for someone who feels passionate about the information they're giving them. That's who they're going to believe. So if I'm confused about the marketplace and you have a very relaxed, well, let me show you what's going on, it's this and that, it's like, I'm not feeling it. Like I'm a little confused and you're not exciting me about whatever's going on, whether you're doing fear-based selling or excitement-based selling. Okay. So your energy and enthusiasm, because what I wrote down here, in a changing market, you have to be the ray of hope. You have to be the ray of hope to your clients, to your leads, because they are so unsure if they're making the right decisions. Has anyone seen or heard that there's been a ton of escrows fall out in the last couple months? Anyone see or heard that?
Yes.
Yeah, everyone
Right
see
on the
that?
news. Yeah.
Yeah, Jack.
Experienced.
Well, I wasn't going to call you out, Jack, but yeah, experience. Since you volunteered yourself. Well, the good news is, when you're Jack Ma, deals are going to fall out of escrow because you have so many going at once. So you have a good problem. But there's a lot of things going on because people get into escrow and then am I doing the right thing? Am I buying the right thing? Because what if prices go down? Oh my gosh, but the interest rates are higher. Are we sure we're good with this payment? And the seller's going, gosh, am I really okay giving them a concession right now? Like there's this confusion. So there's so many deals falling out of escrow. You have to be the ray of hope. You have to be the one that is right there. Hey, I'm with you. And if you don't have that energy, enthusiasm, if you don't have that passion, then they're not going to believe you. Does that make sense to everybody? Let me ask you a question. Be honest with me. When I do these talks, okay, and you show up, do you tend to believe the things that I say? For the most part. Be honest. Maricela says yes.
Yes.
Ireland says yes. Okay, great.
On occasion.
Yes.
On occasion. That's all I'm looking for. Does my energy enthusiasm have anything to do with that?
100%.
Passion for
Oh.
what I'm saying to you, because I honestly believe, right or wrong, that what I'm saying is good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it will help you. That's what I believe. I am wrong sometimes. And that's when I'll tell you, I have no data to support this. Okay. Like I said earlier, I have no data to support this, but this is my thoughts. But the passion that I bring to any talk I do is partially why you show up. Okay. So you have to be that. Now, I don't want you to be me. For some of you, that's a lot. You're like, Robert, your energy enthusiasm is a bit much for me. Okay. I show up, but you can't do that. I'm not asking you to do that, but you have to have the passion in what you're saying for them to say, man, you know what? He honestly believes this. She honestly believes that this is the best thing for me. And in a market, when it's changing, they have so much confusion and they're so wishy-washy. You need that. Plus, here's the other problem. Do you have anybody in your family or friends group that has nothing to do with real estate, but is a real estate expert? Do you know any? Do you know any of those people? Right? Well, guess what? So do they. I don't know, Robert. I mean, I was talking to my cousin, and my cousin said I shouldn't do it. What does your cousin do for a living? He's an aerospace engineer. Okay, it's very relatable. Okay, very relatable. But it's family. And guess what? The cousin's not making any money off of this. I am. So there's always that slight pull. So if I'm not passionate, if I'm not energetic, if I'm not selling it, I'm fighting an uphill battle. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So you have to create that. If you're not expressive, that's fine. Go back to remember rule number 1, no excuses. Mm-hmm. Well, Robert, I'm not expressive. It's hard for me to get energetic. Then get out of the business. Well, that's kind of mean. Yeah. I'm saving you, really. I can't get energetic. I can't get excited. Then go work customer service where you're just sit in a cubicle and do stuff all day. You don't have to be energized for that. But for $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, you're helping somebody with their largest financial asset. That doesn't get you excited. Even if it wasn't for the money, you're helping somebody with their largest financial asset. If you're an amiable, they need help. They need you. Because if they don't work with you, they're going to get stuck with a really bad agent that's not going to look out for their best interest and is really only going to be about the money.
Yes.
And you don't want that. You don't want that in your neighborhood. Have that passion on its side. Questions on any of the stuff we went over? Okay, that was like 5 or 6 points. I have 12. We didn't go over all of them, but I think those are the most important ones. In a changing market, if you want to be the best of the best, this is what it's going to come down to. Okay? But whatever you decide to do, you have to make a plan because I'm telling you, the middle, as I said at the very beginning, the middle class real estate agent is going to shrink. Happens every time there's a changing market. So you are either going to inch closer to a higher level of production, or you're going to inch down to a lower level of production, but you probably won't stay the same.
Yes.
Very vitally important that you accept that and make some sort of plan. All right. Anything else? Anyone questions or anything else? Melinda says, if you aren't growing, you're shrinking. That's true. That's true. As Lou Holtz would say, you're either getting better or you're getting worse, but you're never staying the same.
Mhm.
All right. That's all I got. Now, before you go, real quick, two more things. On that number,